respectable Dr. Mohyuddin Dean, Arabic, Registrar Raja Umar Sahab, professors, deans, directors, and research scholars, it's a great pleasure for me to discuss with you the humanitarian aspect of decades long struggle of Kashmiri people for their basic right of self determination and their miseries resulting due to Indian repression in this course. Ladies and gentlemen, struggle of Kashmiri people for their birthright has a long history, and it even starts before the partition of the subcontinent. Their struggle can be divided in three phases. In pre-partition phase, they were struggling against Dogra rule. After 1947, they struggled rather peacefully, comparatively, we can say it, against illegal occupation of India. And in 1989, they started the recent armed struggle. Number of their sacrifices on the path of freedom is far greater than any other in subcontinent, including the loss of assets, businesses, trades, education, careers, and thousands of their precious lives, especially during the latest phase of their movement since 1989. Ladies and gentlemen, state of Jammu and Kashmir is called to be paradise on earth, but unfortunately, this paradise is shrouded in flames of brutality and suppression right under the nose of 21st century's torch bearers of liberty and human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, Kashmiri people are continuously struggling against the external occupying Indian forces since October 27, 1947. October 27, 1947 is a date when India put its army in Kashmir. Before that, we were successful in liberating a substantial part from Dogra rule, and it is now called Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Indian forces are torturing the people of Kashmir by various means to prolong their occupation. Thousands of innocent people have been killed, and thousands became widows, orphans, and in addition to this, people became psychologically ill and are unable to carry out their day-to-day activities. Ladies and gentlemen, the first large-scale massacre by state forces of Maharaja was carried out with the support of regular Indian army and armed troops of RSS in Jammu during October and November 1947, soon after occupation of a large part of Kashmir by India. It was one of the world's biggest holocausts in which hundreds of thousands of Muslims were butchered within few days. According to Times of London, Daily Statesman Calcutta, British newspaper Time and Tide, and some other researchers, around 250,000 people were ruthlessly slaughtered. Kashmiri people are victims of worst form of exploitation and record human rights violations by Indian security forces. A large number of families of Jammu and Kashmir have been divided since 1947. People are not allowed to meet each other because there is a controlled line commonly called as bloodline within the territory of state of Jammu and Kashmir. Indian occupation is affecting the social, religious, educational, economic, and political status of Kashmiris as there is heavy deployment of military and paramilitary forces, which is also responsible for record human rights violation well described by Human Rights Asia Watch, Amnesty International, and other human rights organizations and well known researchers. Teresa Crew described that it is no surprise that Kashmir is one of the most militarized regions in the world. According to foreign media reports, more than 700,000 security personnel are stationed in a small region of Kashmir. This report is around 10 years old, and at present, we can safely say that it has been increased to more than 800,000 to control the freedom movement in Kashmir. It is extremely difficult to give a reliable estimate of how many deaths there have been since the conflict started in Kashmir due to misinformation, lack of communication, and sanctions of Indian government on local and international media. Most of the statistics concerning the death toll in Kashmir tend to come to surface on the onset of the armed struggle against Indian illegal occupation since 1989. Amnesty report of 2003 estimated that 44,000 people, including thousands of women and children, had been killed. However, according to another research in the light of sources such as Kashmir Observer, Srinagar estimated that the death toll since 1989 was closer to 80,000. And recently it has crossed the number of 100,000. Farooq Rathar, during 2013, in his research-based article, Armed Conflicts in J&K and Its Impact on Society, a case study of Kashmir Valley, has very well described the picture of Indian atrocities while referring to a couplet of a Kashmiri poet. According to the poet, it was very difficult to even drink water, which is necessary for life, because it contained the blood of young people of Kashmir killed by Indian forces. Similarly, one could not look at the sky because its color had changed from blue to red due to vapors of blood in the air. Indian security forces are responsible for enforced disappearances of thousands of Kashmiri people, according to reports of local and foreign media, as well as human rights organizations. Disappearances, torture, and extrajudicial killings are interlinked to each other to fulfill the only one purpose of Indian government, that is to suppress the freedom movement. Human rights activists estimated the number of enforced disappeared men over 8,000, which are believed to be dumped in thousands of mass graves across all over Kashmir. Report of a state human rights commission inquiry confirmed that there are thousands of bullet-ridden bodies buried in unidentified mass graves in Jammu and Kashmir. Contrary to the Indian government claim that all the graves belonged to foreign militants, the inquiry commission reported that out of 2,730 bodies uncovered in 4 of the 14 districts of J&K, 574 bodies were identified as missing locals. According to The Guardian, London, July 9, 2012, in the light of evidence made by Pervaiz, a well-known human rights activist, and his field workers, it had been proved that the total number of unmarked graves in J&K were about 6,000. After revoking the Article 370 and 35A of its constitution on August 5, 2019, Indian government has started a new game and strategy to suppress the movement by changing the demography through issuing the state subjects and domiciles to non-local Hindus and Pandits on a large scale. Almost all the leadership of Jammu and Kashmir and its is in jails since 2019. All the major leaders of APIC, All Parties Hurriyat Conference, are in jails since 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, results and discussion of different reports and papers indicate that the people of Jammu and Kashmir have been severely brutalized by the Indian forces since 1947. People of Kashmir are facing the worst types of torture, including violence against women, crackdowns, disappearances, custodial killings, target killings, and deaths. Atrocities made by India to the people of Kashmir have been verified in the light of research made by various researchers and reports. Types of atrocities and effects on the people of the region are also described. Effects of atrocities on the people and movement for right of self-determination are examined keenly by comparing the various calculations. Thus proved that extrajudicial execution and target killing of educated youth is a routine matter. Practice of fake encounters is on its peak level, and draconian laws are being practiced against the people by declaring them terrorists for their struggle for their birthright. Multi-thousands of people of Kashmir have been killed and thousands disappeared by Indian security forces under the umbrella of black laws since 1989. Now I will share with you some data about latest data of killings, disappearances, and other human rights violations made by Indian government. First, I will share you the total number of these violations starting from January 1989 till 31st January 2023. Total killings which have been reported are 96,175. Custodial killings 7,288. Civilian arrested 165,565. Structures arsoned, destroyed. Different houses which have been destroyed by the Indian government. Indian army and police destroys the houses and establishment of the people who they blame are involved in anti-state activities. These structures number to 110,496. Women widowed 22,957. Children orphaned 107,896. Women gang raped, molested 11,256. This is since this data starts from January 1989 and entails till 31st January 2023. Now I will share you the data of only the last month of January 2023. Total killings 10, custodial killings 4, civilian arrested 137, women widowed 3, children orphaned 4. So this process is going on. It has not stopped and it has slowed down. National and international human rights organizations, including State Human Rights Commission of Occupied Kashmir, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and UN Human Rights Commission, as well as US Human Rights Commission and APPKG in UK reported the mass violations of human rights, including torture, massacre, extrajudicial killings, target killings, detentions, disappearances, and rape in occupied Kashmir by Indian security forces. People of Kashmir struggling for their birthright, that is the right of self-determination in the light of UN resolutions, are suffering badly by the Indian atrocities, having a great challenge of the day to international organizations and community. I must say, all the international bodies, human rights bodies, they acknowledge and they feel and they are in sympathy with the people of Kashmir. They feel rightfully that their human rights, the basic human rights, have been violated. But the issue is international community and the international governments. They are not making enough efforts to persuade India to stop these violations. The international community must end the policy of neutralism and silence over a long outstanding humanitarian issue of Kashmiri people. Global powers must pass a unanimous resolution to stop human rights violations in occupied Kashmir by its demilitarization in the light of UN resolutions. Thank you very much.